Hi, I'm Jerry Buckner of Buckner and Garcia, the Pac Man Fever guys, listening to Rob and Randy on the 25th Hour radio show. These guys are great. It's a great show. Don't miss it. Love it.
The 25th Hour radio show.
Jerry, like always, we'd like to start off the show getting to know a little bit about our guest's history. So what's your story? What got you into the world of entertainment, in particular music?
Well, the short answer is, as a kid, I started playing piano at home and was able to do it easily. That's the only reason I probably pursued it, rather than hanging outside with the rest of the guys.
Mm-hmm.
And put a band together in high school, started playing, trying to write songs. Eventually, Gary Garcia, who was my best friend, we went to school together. He and I kind of teamed up after high school. Just the usual deal, went through bands, working on songs, came to Atlanta, and got into the writing jingles to make a living and playing at night, and then trying to write songs in between. And that's kind of how that's the short story until we finally started having some success with some things. We've done other things besides Pac Man, but that was probably the biggest thing, that we're known for, I guess, at the time. But that's a short story.
So you guys were high school friends. Where did you first meet?
Really in junior high school we met. And actually in high school, Gary formed his own band. Biggie and His Rats was the name of his band, but it was only two guys, Biggie and His Rat. And I saw Gary perform in the high school gym after school one day, and it was a drummer and himself on guitar. And eventually we were friends but hadn't played together. Eventually we had separate bands, and then we teamed up. So we met in school and were best friends, like brothers, till the day he passed away.
Oh, yeah. Of course, Pac Man Fever was a huge hit, but I want to discuss for a second Merry Christmas in the NFL. From what I've read, the song reached number 82 on the Billboard charts, despite limited airplay. What's the story behind that? Did Howard Cosell have a hand in that?
No, actually, Howard, I don't think Howard was real fond of the record, from what we understand. It was just an idea we came up with at the time. To do, Monday Night Football was very hot. Howard was very hot. And we had this idea, went in the studio, did it. And Arnie Geller, who was with the Bowie Geller organization here in Atlanta, they had some other groups with some hits out and so forth. And we became friends with them. We're working over there. They sold it to a company in New York and put it out. And it did okay. But at one time, we had heard that they were going to play it at halftime. During one of the Monday night games, which would have just been terrific. I mean, I would have just probably pushed it over the edge.
Mm-hmm.
But then we found out later that Howard, I guess, wasn't real fond of the record.
He didn't have a sense of humor? Or
I don't know. And, the funny thing is, we loved Howard. I always loved Howard. I thought he was brilliant, He was a guy everybody loved to hate, but without him, Monday Night Football would have died early on.
Oh, yeah.
And we loved him, and it really, to us, it was meant to be a tribute kind of a thing, but he didn't like it, so I guess it didn't do too well. But they still occasionally somebody will play it at Christmas time, even though it's so dated.
Mm-hmm. We can't talk to you without discussing Pac Man Fever. And for the people who might have been living under a rock, in the 1980s, tell us a little bit about the song and how you got the idea for it.
Gary and I were working, as I say, in the studio here in Atlanta, doing jingles and then trying to write songs. And sometimes we would run over to this little restaurant in Marietta, Georgia, in the square, and we would eat, grab a sandwich in between working, and they had a Pac Man machine in there. And like everyone else, we got, we saw it and started playing it, got hooked on it, and thought, hey, might be fun to do a song about this. So we did a little demo, took it to our friend Arnie Geller that I mentioned earlier, and Arnie loved it, and everybody loved it except the record companies. We recorded it, they went to New York, and nobody liked it. They didn't understand it. It's hard to imagine or believe this, but at that time, Pac Man was only big in Japan, was just coming here. And they really didn't understand it, so they all passed on it. Well, our Arnie and the management company decided to press up a few copies of their own and put it out. And one of the stations here in Atlanta started playing it, and it just exploded. And then when CBS Records, Columbia Records, caught wind of that, they flew the vice president in here, and they said, hey, you know what, maybe we were wrong, and we want to sign this. So they signed the record. And the next big thing that happened was television. Excuse me. That really was a tremendous boost. We did a couple of TV shows, and it went national. And Entertainment Tonight, which was the top show at the time when of the entertainment shows, they did a story, and it just after that exploded and just went crazy after the first of the year. The song really came out in '81, but it was a hit in '82.
Now, were you surprised by the success of it, or did you know from the very beginning you had a hit on your hands?
I have to tell you, I was very surprised by it. I knew we had done a good record. I knew it sounded pretty good, but we put our name on there. We thought, this will help with our jingle business. We were we were hoping we'd get some local play, regional play, and so yeah, it surprised us. It was just massive. I mean, I can't even tell you. There's so many stories, and it was huge. The requests and for the song. I mean, it just was. A lot of people describe what happened as kind of Beatlesque, kind of a Beatle kind of thing. Not that we were the Beatles, I don't mean that, but the way it hit because of the games, the video game industry. I mean, it was all part of that, and it was just huge, just unbelievable.
Talking about video games, today compared to back then, how hard was it to get the sound from the video games to the front of your song like that?
Well, of course, back then there was no any kind of direct lines or anything. We actually had to go. The engineer from the studio had to go and record the sounds off the machines with a microphone live. In fact, there's always been a running rumor that you can hear faintly somebody ordering a sandwich on the beginning of Pac Man Fever in the background. I don't know. I never was able to hear it. It may have been a recording and got edited out, but that rumor circulated. But yeah, they would go in and with a microphone and try to go in early when no one was there and record the sound effects. That's how we did the whole album, recording them directly off the machines.
Now, you were talking about early on you guys did some performances on television or whatever. I actually watched a couple of them. You guys were rocking it out pretty hard.
We had a great time. We were scared to death, I can tell you that, especially on the American Bandstand show with Dick Clark. I can recall like yesterday being in the dressing room. Next to us was Huey Lewis. Next to them was Sheena Easton was on. They would shoot 6 shows on the weekend at that time, three on Saturday, 3 on Sunday. And so we were there, and I remember Dick Clark came into the room to say hello to us. He's in a sweatshirt and jeans, and I grew up watching this show, and it just, it was so surreal to us, and we were just really scared. And he comes in, he couldn't have been nicer. How you guys doing? And our manager knew Dick, had worked with him with some other groups, so they exchanged some conversation. And he said, "Look, guys, we'll do the first song, Pac Man Fever. I'll do a little interview, then we'll do your the second single, and that's what we'll do." And he said, "I'll ask you something like," and he asked us some question, and we just stared at him because we couldn't talk. And he says to us, "Look, guys, it's TV. You got to talk." So, but I remember going out and doing the show, and I remember thinking when he came up to interview us, thinking, "I hope he asked Gary the first question." And of course, he asked the question to me, and I don't even. It was so frightening, the whole thing. But Dick Clark, I can't say enough about that guy. He was the nicest guy to us, and helped us out on our second single, our album, when he had a national radio show at the time, and just a very, very nice man.
Well, I seen the bandstand performance out in the audience. The people were doing like a hand gesture. Was that like sweeping the nation? This dance craze, the Pac Man hand dance, or something?
I don't know about the Pac Man part, but I can tell you the Donkey Kong, which was the second song we had out, which did okay. It just didn't do anything like Pac Man, so it kind of got left in the dust. But that was kind of a dance that people kind of invented at the time to do. But no, I think they were just doing whatever hit them. But yeah, they were moving, weren't they? It was crazy.
Yeah, I always wondered, because the song was such a huge hit, did it put added pressure on you to become a master at the game itself? How good were you actually at the game?
Not very good. I really wasn't. Gary was better than I was. But interestingly enough, when we would go into personal appearances in different parts, went into a game room, everybody had the same brilliant idea. They would ask us if we would play, their best player and all that, and we would do it. But we'd always get beat. Here some 8-year-old kid would, be going to tear us up. But we did a lot of that. But yeah, we were just, we were okay at it. Now we had a good friend. If you saw the original album, inside there was cheat sheets on the cover, inside the dust cover, and that was a good friend of ours. He was very good at it. But he just, he would sit down at the machine and see you tomorrow. He just went at it.
He actually had the Pac Man fever.
Yeah, he really did. And then just this last year, I happened to meet the fellow that broke, the top guy in the world, Billy. Oh my gosh, Billy will kill me. I can't think of his last name. But he said that those cheat sheets weren't correct. I said, okay, thanks a lot. After 2.5 million albums, but he was the top guy. But Edsel was good. The guy's name was Edsel Gross. He was very good. But Gary and I were just we were okay.
I always enjoy asking a few lighthearted questions during the interviews like that. And another I want to ask you is about your rockin' mustache back then, especially during your performance on Solid Gold back in '82. Was the stash a trademark of yours? I had to ask it, buddy.
You would bring that up. Oh my gosh. Okay.
That's an awesome mustache, though, man.
Well, short story is Gary. When we were headed to California, we were going to do a bunch of TV shows, and Gary said, "Look, let's get kind of crazy when we go on the show. Look kind of wild, so something a little bit different." And I said, "Well, that's fine with me." So I come up with this idea. I got this lab coat, and I had this crazy. I don't know if I had a wig or something, but I had this lab coat, and I decided I love Groucho Marx, so I do a Groucho Marx mustache on my face, and just tried to kind of look a little crazy. Well, we didn't tell each other what we were going to do. It was going to be like a surprise or something. We get out there.
Surprise!
So we get to Solid Gold. We go in the dressing rooms. Gary's in one room, I'm in the other, and we're running late, and they're waiting on us. And so I step out. They go, "We got to go, guys. Got to go." So I step out of the dressing room in this crazy outfit, and Gary. I look down the hallway, and there's Gary, and he looks regular, except he's got a hat on and glasses. And I go down there, and he's got this little Pac Man thing in his glasses and a hat. And I go, "When are you going to get dressed?" He said, "I am." I said, "Are you?" I said, "What are you talking about?" I said, "I look like an idiot compared to you, Well, next thing is Buckner and Garcia to the soundstage. So we go out there, and Marilyn McCoo was hosting our particular segment, and we stand up on stage waiting for the cameras to roll and everything. And she looks at me and she goes, "And who are you supposed to be?" And I said, "Just an idiot. That's all. Just an idiot."
Just the act.
And the follow-up story to it is when the show aired a 3 weeks later. I get a phone call as soon as it's maybe in the middle of the show. I don't remember. Right after the show, it's my mother, and she goes, "What are you wearing on that show? You look, that's embarrassing. My friends are all watching this, And I said, "I'm sorry, Mom. I thought we were in, blah blah blah." So to this day, I cringe when that video shows up. It's just,
immortalized on YouTube, right?
Yeah, I never got over it.
Okay, I'm going to bring it back in just a little bit. You recently got the call to help Disney on the film Wreck-It Ralph. To work with Disney had to be a huge honor. How did that partnership form?
Got a call from Disney, as you say, and they had, at that time, the movie was ready to come out in a few months, and they had a song that they had a guy had written for them with Disney, and they somebody realized that it might be great to have us do the song, and they called and said, "Would you do this song for the movie?" And we said, "Well, no, we don't want to do a Disney song." "No, of course we'll do it." So we did record it, and they loved it when it was done, and they put it in the movie. Unfortunately, what happened is the whole system of credits, at least in the Disney, when we dealt with Disney, everybody had everything locked in and was guaranteed this and that. So the song, the only place they could put the song, even though it was actually the theme song of the movie, because it's called Wreck-It Ralph.
Mm-hmm.
They consider it the theme song. But it went on last during the credits in the movie itself. Now, when they put the soundtrack out, it was the second cut on the soundtrack after Owl City had his thing, because that was prominent in the movie. But they would have wanted that to be in the beginning of the movie, and it would have been the title track of the movie. But it just they just didn't have time. Literally, that movie was released in October. The song we did was finished in August, and for them to, in a major motion picture like that, to put that into the the movie and do all that stuff, is crazy. Which reminds me, let me say something to you real quick, because I know this show. When is this show going to air?
I'll probably have it up here this evening or tomorrow.
Well, okay, then let me tell you something that's going on. I don't know if you've seen the Super Bowl commercial that's out for Pac Man. Have you seen that or heard about it?
Actually, I haven't. No.
Well, it's huge. If you go online, just put in Bud Light Pac Man commercial, and they just released it 2 days ago for people to see. It's going to be in the Super Bowl commercials. Anyway, we stuck our song in there just for kicks, edited it in, put it up online, and people are going crazy. They love it, and it goes perfect with the commercial. So that's kind of like a similar thing to Disney. I don't know if there's any chance that Bud Light people would like it and maybe try to put it in the commercial before the Super Bowl next weekend. But if you see it, it really works perfect. I'm amazed they didn't come to us to begin with, because it just fits with it perfect. You go to our site and get a link if you want to take a look at it. But it's the Bud Light Pac Man Super Bowl commercial.
So you've been honored with numerous awards over your lifetime, Jerry, and I'm sure you're proud of every one of them. But are there some or one in particular that you're most proud of?
I gotta have to say the gold record is a great achievement for me. For a kid from Akron, Ohio, in a working class family, to be able to do that, I've been blessed and fortunate, and that's really great. I'll tell you something. Having a song, for me at least, and I think most writers would probably tell you this, hearing it on the radio, there's something about that just, it's such a neat feeling to know that something you wrote and that people would like, or if somebody records the song or sings it somewhere, if you hear it in an elevator or something, that's just it's a feeling I can't describe. So that's not really an award, but just having someone say, boy, I really like your song, especially if it's another writer, it's really a neat, it's just a great feeling to have to hear it, on the radio.
Mm-hmm. So before we get off here, are there any upcoming projects? I know you mentioned the Pac Man video, or things you'd like to mention before we start to wrap things up.
Well, we're going to be in Chicago in May. They're opening, Namco's opening a restaurant called 257. It's going to be catering to Pac Man. It's based on Pac Man. They're going to have us there, I think, to perform and be a part of it. It's going to be a huge. You can see that online too if you check Namco Pac Man restaurant. They're going to open them worldwide after this, but that's a neat thing we're going to be involved in. Plus, we do shows. If you go to our website, which is bucknergarcia.com, no and, it's just bucknergarcia.com, you can kind of see what we're doing, and we make some appearances and so forth. And I'm also doing a video show of my own where I interview people with one-hit wonder singles, and we talk about the songs and then talk about the stuff that they're doing. And that's just kind of a pet project of mine, an online project I do. So, we're staying busy. We did the thing with, I got involved with the Goldbergs. They used our song last year in some promotions, which is a great TV show if you have a chance to catch it.
Oh, yeah, I've caught it.
So we're staying pretty busy with stuff.
Well, Jerry, I want to thank you once again for joining us on the show. It's been an honor talking to you.
Well, listen, I appreciate it. I love being on the show, and I've listened to some of the stuff you've done, and I'm glad to be a part of it. Thanks for inviting me.
The 25th Hour Radio Show.